From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One more corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, 2 days and 2 sets of eyes worth of observations to get to, as well as
Florida State is back, folks.
Michael Langston giving us the latest on Florida State's recruiting efforts after nabbing a 5-star plus. Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Or hit up the cptallybar.com website, QR code. Check out the lunch specials, social media calendar. I'll let you know what's going on Mondays, although you already know. You build your own burger for only $8.99 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. You also get a side dish of your choice. That could be straight fries or curly fries or onion rings or a potato salad, maybe coleslaw or broccoli or a side salad, tater tots or freshly cooked potato chips. Usually $11.99, but Bill loves you. $8.99 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. today at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Also, new items on the menu, prime rib sandwich. Corey has approved of it. Or did Stephanie also approve of it too, or did she do the national
yeah, she's
hot?
The one that said it was the best thing she'd ever put in her mouth.
Oh, okay.
What a tagline that is, by the way, for that sandwich.
Yeah, there you go, Bill. That's free. I'm not going to charge you extra for that one. And then don't forget, tomorrow is trivia night at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Will you be there, Corey? It's been a while, I feel like, since you defended your crown.
No, I was there last week.
Okay.
We finished third. And not a bad showing, but not a great one. And then I'll be there. I'll be answering some questions on Tuesday night.
All right. Corey and I'll be out in Jacksonville later this week at UNF as Florida State moves preseason camp there. But before that, they'll return to practice this morning. We'll be out there, observations, Tuesday. I think they're pricing we'll see them 5 days in a row, I think, this week.
Yeah.
And then they'll scrimmage, close, but we'll get to speak to them afterwards. But let's dive into it then, Corey. 2 days' worth of observations. You were tasked with hammering them all out. But not only does Corey just give you observation of what's going on out at practice, he also gives you some background and context with quotes from coaches and players afterwards. So that helps bring everything together. You want to start from Sunday, since that's more recent in our mind, or do you want to go back? Or I'm sorry, you want to go to Saturday, or do you want to go to Friday first, day 2 or day 3? I'll let you defer.
Ooh, I don't know if I can differentiate, man. I figured we'd just go all together.
Okay.
One lump sum.
All right.
Like when I win the lottery.
Mine.
How I'm going to play it.
My man.
Look, the defense continued to win. I think they've won all 3 practices, and again, that's in quotes. Like as Aslan said, there is some context. Just so you guys know, it's not like the offense gets a drive against the number 1 defense, or guys that we think might be starters, and it's like an 11-play, 3.5-minute try to score drive. It's so situational that it's literally like 3 straight first down plays or 3 straight third down plays, and then a whole nother 11 comes in. So there's not a lot of rhythm, like getting into a rhythm or getting a drive going this early in camp. That said, I thought the defense. So that being, it's tilted towards in the defense's favor anyway, and they're still trying to get timing. And I thought the defense and the defensive backs in particular, I think, have been really good the first 3 days of camp. Not just making plays in 7-on-7, 11-on-11, but kind of dominating the one-on-ones. But that said. You were in there on Saturday, right, when Keon Coleman made that catch?
Over Fentrell Cypress?
Yes.
Yeah, I only wrote down 3 things from Saturday's practice because I just thought it was becoming too superfluous. But that was one of the 3 things, just 4 over 23, and I didn't even give myself any notes because it was just that impressive.
Yeah, so Cypress had good coverage.
Great coverage.
It's about a 25-yard throw. Coleman leaps up over him as his back is turned, catches it, and that's impressive enough. I mean, the guy is just a fluid athlete. It looks so natural what he's doing. He's really a natural pass catcher. But it's what he did afterwards where he catches it, like lands on one foot, and in one motion pivots because a normal receiver falls out of bounds. It's a nice play. It's a 25, 30-yard catch. He stops, pivots, and takes it 67 yards for a touchdown. Now, I say, like, they're blowing the whistle as soon as he breaks free, but in that instance, there was no safety there. He was going to score. That's what Keon Coleman brings you, man. And you kind of, I thought he was kind of quiet the first 2 days at camp. quiet being relative because it's just one-on-ones. It's not a lot of reps against team drills against DBs. He probably had, I don't know, 15 or 20 reps total, and how many were thrown to him? Not many. But I thought I just thought on Saturday he looked like the best player on offense. It wasn't just that play. He had another play in 7-on-7s where I think Greedy Vance just grabbed him because it was going to be a walk-in touchdown. He just grabbed his shoulder and yanked him because he had gotten beat so badly by Coleman. And Travis put it in a good spot where that was going to be a walk-in touchdown, but he got held. He had another couple really nice catches and one-on-ones. It's just when you see that to go along with what and Johnny Wilson's been fine, nothing special, but you know what he is. When you see that to go with what you have in Johnny Wilson and somebody else, Aslan, tell me what you think about this a little bit. We'll get to Destin Hill, but Winston Wright.
Yeah.
Winston Wright had some plays on Saturday, man, where it's not just, wily veteran can catch a ball in traffic. He was running away from people. He's starting to, in my opinion, he's starting to show that burst again that I assume everybody in Morgantown loved, that we hadn't seen really since he's been here, for obviously the reason of being in a pretty awful car accident. So seeing that guy look like he's looked, you start thinking, okay, what's that going to look like in 3 weeks? Is that a guy that's going to be playing a lot for you? And then, there's also Destin Hill, who's just, he's really impressive.
The cool thing about Keon, I think at this moment too, is that there's several reps when they were doing 7-on-7, even 11-on-11 stuff, where immediately afterwards, Jordan has ran up the field 15, 20 yards to catch his ear, and he's explained to Keon what's going on, and Keon's totally taking it. And he's, they're working everything, the kinks out in terms of the communication, where he was supposed to be, where he's supposed to pivot to. So, the fact that he's not 110% having down every single kind of nuance of how Jordan wants certain plays, certain routes run, and how you're supposed to, run off your option route, and he's still making impressive, just the physical nature, the talent it takes, as Corey mentioned, to have the control of your body, locate the ball, catch it, still turn up the field while you're being dragged down by somebody of pretty decent size and talent, and a guy like Fentrell Cypress just makes you really excited about what it's going to look like in 3 weeks, along with if Winston Wright can keep this up. There was one moment where I saw Winston just kind of gingerly walking or gingerly jogging to a station, and I was it's never going to maybe be right with this guy. But then that was early in practice, and he went and caught 2 more balls later on in that day. I forgot, it was either Friday or Saturday, but because everybody just runs. It's the thing now. Everyone just kind of limps around a little bit. It's hey guys, we're trying to observe you guys and see how your health is. But if Winston Wright can be right, that is just not fair. It's not fair. I mean, there's one of the sports information folks was watching that Keon catch over Fentrell, and he just went nuts. I'm it's not fair. I'm this is just not fair what this offense is going to be. He's I know. So, good luck, everybody.
Yeah,
good luck.
They have a real chance. We haven't even mentioned Jaheim Bell, who again hasn't made spectacular plays. And I guess we watch practice, so we know how it's structured. I want to kind of lay out how it is structured. There's not a lot of, like I said, there's not a lot of just let's play a quarter of football.
Right.
It's 11 versus 11 for 3 plays at a time, with scripted plays. The down and distance never change. It's not like if you get a 6-yard play, it becomes 2nd and 4.
And 3 plays as in Jordan gets 3 plays and the next quarterback gets 3 plays.
But also it's not okay, we got 8 yards on that play. Let's go to our 2nd and 2 plays.
Right.
It's always 1st and 10, or it's always 2nd and 8. Whatever their situation is, they're just calling those plays, and it's just 3 at a time, and they rotate, and they're doing it from the 35-yard line. 65 yards away from the end zone. So there's not a lot of chances to make wow offensive plays. There just isn't. But I will say this, on Friday, I think it was Friday, Samuel Singleton made a wow run.
That was
Holy
Friday.
moly.
Yep.
And again, they're not even in shoulder pads on Friday. And he hits a hole that I think was created by I think it was early, but I'm not sure. But either way, he hits that hole and then gets to the outside, and there's a couple of DBs that have an angle on him, and no chance.
The speed is there.
Yeah. I mean, holy moly. And Norvell's blowing the whistle, but like to end the play to get the next play going. But these guys are still really trying to run because they're competitors to try to chase them down, and they weren't getting there. And then so that was, I mean, again, I don't know how much he's going to play. He got kind of a loaded backfield, but that speed plays immediately. I mean, that was if he's not the fastest guy on the team, he's in the conversation. He's in the top 5. So you had that, and then you had, Jaheim Bell hasn't really done anything in 11-on-11 and 7-on-7, but he's made some long catches and one-on-ones. He beat Akeem Dent on Saturday for like a 45-yard throw. I mean, there aren't many tight ends in the country that are beating Akeem Dent, like running past him. And you can say, oh, that's not good for Akeem Dent. He just got shook. Bell made a good move, kind of pushed him off him. And then he's so fast that even a fast guy like Akeem Dent can't catch up with him. So the point being, it's not just Coleman and Johnny Wilson or Trey Benson. It's flipping Jaheim Bell, man. It's maybe Winston Wright. It's Destin Hill, who might be a phenom for all we know. I mean, the way he carries, just the way he competes and the way he moves. Again, I'm not predicting it this year, but Destin Hill, if he stays healthy, is going to be an all-conference type college football player. It's just there, man. It is absolutely there. I get why you waited so long. He is going to be worth the wait if he stays healthy.
VitaminEnergy.com. Promo code is Warchant BOGO, BOGO. Buy one, get one free. We've talked about the capsules, but don't forget, folks, the shots. Shake it and take it. It's not even 2 full ounces. You can take it anywhere, your pocket, your purse, maybe even a clutch if you're rolling light out there, ladies. 260 milligrams of all-natural caffeine gives you 7 hours of energy, probably even more. And no sugar means no sugar crash. The Mood Plus, the Focus Plus, the Immune Plus, no matter what variety you want, what you're trying to get accomplished goal-wise, maybe you just want to feel a little bit better, maybe you just want to have a better immune response, you don't want to get sick and under the weather, maybe you want a little better pump in the gym. All those options are available, and if you buy one, you get one free. Use the promo code WarChampBOGO over at VitaminEnergy.com. Shake it and take it, VitaminEnergy.com. Again, promo code WarChampBOGO. How about special teams, Corey? Kicking game looks good, I think, right? Like Ryan Fitzgerald and Tyler Keltner, to the best of my knowledge, have made like all their field goals in live action.
No, Keltner missed one on Saturday. 32-yarder he missed. Fitzgerald, maybe it was 42 yards. It was a 42-yarder he missed. He made his 32-yarder. But Fitzgerald was good from both. They've both been kicking it well though. And again, I would assume Fitzgerald's going to win the job, but we got 3 weeks. Maybe that's the last time Keltner misses. Keltner has a leg though, man. On Friday in the IPF, I was watching him kind of just kick by himself during one of those periods, and he was kicking 50-yarders that were landing halfway into the net. I haven't really kind of seen that kind of leg strength from Fitzmagic. I think Keltner's got a stronger leg, but is it more accurate? I don't know. I think Fitzgerald, I think he might have, maybe he's missed one kick in 3 days, but I think he's been perfect through all the live kicks that they've done.
Kickoff return, they got Keon Coleman doing some stuff. We obviously know Trey. Destin Hill's been back there. Deuce Spann. I haven't seen Deuce do anything big, and I know that Norvell mentioned him in the luncheon, but obviously it's only been 3 days. Pads will be on now moving forward, so that'll help give guys the opportunity to differentiate themselves between one another. Punt return, though, was something that we didn't talk a lot about, but we did mention that it's something that we probably would need to keep an eye on as we went to fall camp because they had a revolving door of guys in the spring, and no one seemed to really kind of take over for Micah while he was injured. That, unfortunately, has not been rectified here. But we're not panicking. We're sharing all the observations, right? That if there's one thing to maybe have pause about or concern, with air quotes I'll put around it, because, again, there's so much time left. I feel like punt returning is the only kind of big question mark concern.
Yeah, the way they're rolling right now, and again, I just feel so grateful that we get to talk, like actually know what we're talking about and get to comment on this stuff and observe it. The way they're rolling right now is that it's Toafili, Destin Hill, and Keon Coleman that are getting the majority of the at-bats at punt return. And, man, if the season started today, if I was them, I'd have to go with Coleman. He's just a natural ball catcher. He looks really comfortable doing it, which to me is almost more important than the result. Toafili's dropped one on Saturday too. It was a crazy Mastromanno kick, so I got to give him a little bit of a break. Mastromanno was booming the ball.
Yes.
So was the walk-on, Chiaminto, whoever 43 is, Mac Chiaminto. They were both bombing 50-yarders plus. Mastromanno hit 158 on like a rollout, and he kicked it end over end. And it went 50. It was like a kickoff. It went 58 yards. It was incredible. But one of the ones he kicked, and I don't know if he did it on purpose, it wasn't a spiral, and it wasn't end over end. It was in between. It was a crazy little rotation, and it was in the air forever. And Toafili got under it, and it bounced off his chest pad and onto the ground. And that was the third one I've seen him muff. But it's also the third practice. So this is practice.
Yes.
Like, he might get really, really good at it. Through 3 practices, he does not look at all comfortable. And it's not just that he's dropped 3. What would worry me if I was doing the scouting on this is the way he attacks the ball when it's in the air. That's what doesn't look comfortable to me. He's doing a lot of late movements to try to get to where the ball is. It doesn't seem like he's really judging it well, and is having to late race back or late race forward. And, as Micah Pittman said last year, he just always kind of had a knack for it.
Yeah.
Like, you see the ball, it's like a center fielder. Some of these guys, you see the ball off the bat, you know the trajectory, you know where it's going to be, and your mind clicks. And right now, it doesn't seem like it's doing that with Toafili. He's also not used to doing this. I don't remember if Keon Coleman was a punt returner at Michigan State.
I'm looking up. I didn't see anything from last year. He didn't record any stats
but,
there. So.
Man, he looks like an absolute natural doing it. Look, Toafili's got wiggle. If Toafili catches the ball, I think he could make some really good big plays happen. But the first thing is to catch the ball.
Yes.
And the way, it's not just that Coleman hasn't dropped one that I've seen, it's the way he moves to go get it. He just looks more natural. That's a lot of time spent talking about punt returners on August 7th. But that's what we do here, baby. You guys want it all, and we give it to you.
I'm going to go ahead and empty out my notebook then. So Friday, this is the last day before they went into pads. So they were in, shoulder pads on Saturday. They weren't in full pads, if you will. Uppers is what they call it. If I had to go ahead and be prisoner of the moment, we should probably do this like every day, almost like tongue in cheek. Like, who would you move up and down on your preseason top 40? Winston Wright, obviously, I omitted him on mine. It's probably going to be problematic for me later on. Kevin Noles as well. Like, Kevin Noles is out there, everybody, and doing things. And I base everything off of like third party. He said, she said, he said, because. Apparently what I'd seen somebody on the boards post that in Micah Pittman's vlog during the spring, Kevin Noles had said that, like, whatever injury he was working through, he was probably going to miss half the season, like return midway through the year. So I'm like, all right, well, by virtue of that, if he's not going to be able to play 4, 5, 6 games, then I'm not going to put him on my list. But with him moving, off nickel to playing a little bit more safety and him actually being available right now, that's, I don't want to call it a revelation, but that's a nice piece. That helps quell kind of concerns when we looked at safety and we only really felt good about Akeem and Shaheem. So, I mean, Kevin Noles, to me, I think that's kind of a storyline perhaps that we weren't able to kind of get through in spring, obviously.
And if you guys didn't read my practice report on Warchant, and I don't know what's wrong with you, why you wouldn't have. Seriously. You need to be a member. You need to be there. I mean, I'm not doing it for myself, gang. But yeah, go and read those things. It was 1,100 words, Aslan. It might have been 1,200 words. It's a lot.
Strong.
Anything that's happening in the practice that's noteworthy, Daddy's writing about it. So go on Warchant, be a member if you're not already, and you get to read this stuff like an hour after practice is over with. Anyway, so in Saturday's practice, he had a pick 6 against Jordan Travis. I'll explain the play because I do think it deserves some context. Not to give Travis a break, or Keon Coleman a break. But here's the deal. So Travis fakes a handoff and rolls to the right. Patrick Payton, who had a good practice, kind of pushes his blocker aside and is rushing to hit Travis. He's almost at him to touch him. Now, obviously, they don't tackle him. He's wearing green. He's there to touch him. Travis throws the ball, and there's a whistle as he's throwing it. Keon Coleman, and I only know this because I was able to watch the replay because they have the replay monitor, the big one in the IPF that you can turn around and watch replays of the play that just happened. Keon Coleman is standing in the middle of the field open, but he's just standing there, like flat-footed, like almost as if he thinks the play's over. He's just standing there watching. Travis sees him open and throws it to him. And Coleman continues to kind of stand there. And Kevin Noles breaks in front of him, picks it off, and it would have been a 50-yard pick 6. I mean, he caught it on the run and was flying. And so part of me wants to, Travis it wasn't a good idea to throw across his body to the middle of the field. But Keon Coleman was open. And Keon Coleman needs to go, when he sees his quarterback rolling to the right and throwing towards him, go get the ball. Don't just stand there flat-footed. This ain't the Big Ten, man. Yeah. You got athletes around you, buddy. You got DBs that can go make plays. And then, so I give them kind of the benefit of the doubt there. But by and large, not a great idea to throw it. Even if the whistle had just blown, Keon Coleman needs to go get the ball, get accustomed to going and attacking the ball. But he didn't. And they both can maybe deserve a break because of the whistle being blown. But Kevin Noles, man, that's what we're talking about, right? Go attack the ball and go catch it. And you haven't seen that a lot. You didn't see it a lot out of DBs last year. That was cool to see. And it wasn't just that play. You're right, man. I think he's going to be a big part of the secondary this year. I don't know how many reps he's going to get at safety, like if he's going to be basically a part-time starter. But he is going to play a lot of football in that secondary, don't you think?
Oh, yes. And I'd like to hear people talk more about Quindarius Jones. My Mississippi bias is showing, but I think he's – I think he's every bit as good as KJ Kirkland. I think he's like that second tier behind. I think he's like that second tier guy behind, Akeem and Shaheem. If we're talking about safety, and if you want to talk about cornerback, I think he's behind. Obviously, he's that second tier behind Renardo and Fenchar. Like I think he's just that versatile. He's that lengthy. He had a nice interception on Friday where he tipped the ball to himself.
Yeah.
And made a really nice play. So I like Quindarius. So that was one of the Friday highlights.
And that goes to the whole secondary. Like Cypress had a pick six. You never have pick sixes in one-on-ones, but he did. He cut in front of Deuce Spann, made a really good read, and made a catch. Also had a pass breakup against Johnny on a fade. Also gave up a couple of plays because these receivers are pretty good too. But I think Cypress has looked much better than he did in the spring, to my eye anyway.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Azarie might have taken a leap, man. Again, we're only 3 practices in. Lord knows he was good last August too. He was intercepting a pass a day, but he's been really good, man. I think he's been one of the standouts to me. Renardo's just Renardo. You don't have to worry. Just lock him up. He's there. He's good, and he's going to be there. But these other guys, Quindarius too is a good. It's just like, man, there's so many good corners. Jarian, like when you watch these one-on-ones, man, they are real battles, and it's not like they're going up against the 2021 Florida State receiving corps. I mean, these guys can play. There aren't many receiving corps in the country that have. I don't know what you'd say right now. Destin Hill might be the number 6, number 5. There aren't many receiving corps that have a Destin Hill in that slot. So these DBs are getting work, and they're holding their own and then some. I've been really impressed with all of them. One thing I did notice though, Aslan, that I guess I didn't notice the first day, but I definitely noticed it on Saturday. Akeem Dent is like bulked up. I almost confused. He's so bulky. He got beat. It was the Jaheim Bell play. I thought initially that it was Kalen DeLoach covering because it was a single digit. Ones look like 4s, and I have horrible eyesight. I'm like, man, what's DeLoach doing over there? One-on-ones covering, like he should be in another drill. They're not. And then I realized, oh yeah, Dent's changed his number. He's number 1. And yeah, he looked good. And so he's noticeably bigger. We'll see how that translates to production, but he's noticeably bigger. And I also wanted to say. What did I want to say? The 3 freshman safeties. The 2 new ones, especially Hussey and Barker,
and Rawls
have both made some really nice plays. They certainly look the part. They got a lot of DBs, and hey, apparently they just got another one from my neck of the woods in Buford, Georgia.
That's right. Ashlyn Barker had a pick on 7-on-7s on
almost
on
ran
Friday.
me over after he caught it too. I was standing right there on the sideline. I had to show my great athleticism to get out of the way.
I thought when they went to 11-on-11, the highlights on Friday for me was Biscuit had a nice catch. He had a really nice leaping one-handed catch in 7-on-7. When they went to 11s, Sam Singleton's run was probably the play of the day. I mean, just the speed that he showed. I thought that this was going to be a kid that would probably take a year or so because I know he missed a lot of his senior year because he was recuperating from a knee injury that became like a calf injury. But, man, the speed that he showed, that was highlight stuff to me. And then there was a play where Jared Verse absolutely decleated the tackle that was responsible for blocking him. I mean, just absolutely knocked off their feet onto their keister. So Jared Verse, he's still awesome, everybody.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought him up because we talked so much about the skill guys or the DBs. we know how important the defensive line is, and Jared Verse is a monster. It's to the point he made a play in 11 on 11s on Saturday where he split a double team against two starting caliber offensive linemen and was in Jordan Travis's face before he could do anything with it. And it's to the point now where, and I've said this before on this show a few times, I'm sure, but in 13, Jimbo admitted he had Timmy Jernigan couldn't practice against the offense. He would make sure that Jernigan at times, he needed some practice, he needed some reps, but there were a lot of times where they just made him sit off to the side because they had to get some work done. The offense had to do some stuff, and they could not block him, and he was wrecking everything. And then you also can't tell Jernigan, hey, man, get in there but take it easy. That's not how Jernigan is wired, and that's not how you want your football players to be wired. It might get to the point with Verse where you limit his reps, you cut him in half, just so the offense can get some stuff done, man.
Yeah.
Like, you love what he brings to the energy of practice because he doesn't stop talking, and they do not like it. So it goes back and forth, and it really gets everybody amped up. There's a role that he plays aside from being an awesome defensive end, but man, he's bordering on unblockable for these guys. And it's like it hurts your quarterback. Like, if your quarterback knows, we can't block 5, then he starts looking at 5. And he's like, well, I got to get rid of this ball quick because I know he's going to be in here talking to me in half a second. So I will track that to see if he starts getting because he seems to be getting the same reps as Peyton, Edmund. I wonder if they'll slowly fade that out and be like, hey, we got to start working on ourselves and not just watching this kid dance around our quarterback after every other snap.
Yeah. To that point, though, on Saturday when they ended up doing things 11 on 11 towards the end of practice, I mean, there was a play where he beat the lineman. He got to Jordan, actually, I think even not hit Jordan below the waist, but he made contact with Jordan, but Jordan was still able to get the ball off and complete it down the field to Johnny Wilson. So, even when that's also this is mainly to compliment Jordan, obviously, because Jared is being absolutely disruptive, which is going to happen in games at times to Jordan, but Jordan's still showing so much kind of poise. So even when you have greatness going against greatness, the defense doesn't always win. It's been a joy to watch 3 days of practice so far. This team is they're on schedule, everybody, for what we've said in the offseason. They're on schedule right now. So
you know what's cool is that you now I think have 3 elements that are kind of just indefensible. You have 2 wideouts that are just going to moss most of the DBs that are covering them. And if they don't make the catch, they're going to get interfered with. It's a matter of the ACC officials might not be calling anything this year when it comes to that. But you do whatever you want, tackle them. But you have those 2 guys that are almost like get out of jail free cards, just think Johnny 3rd and 10 against Florida when they had all the momentum, and then you just throw it up to him, he makes that catch, and you go down and score the game-winning touchdown. You've got 2 of those guys now, at least. You also have a quarterback that if he just wants to run is an absolute weapon still. He doesn't do it much in practice. Occasionally, when he pulls it down, it's usually kind of out of disdain because that's not the play, and he'll just kind of jog up the line a little bit. But occasionally, you'll see Jordan really open up the wheels, and you're reminded, oh yeah, you've got that too. If everything else is taken away somehow, or if they can't catch the ball out wide for some reason, you've also got one of the best running quarterbacks in the country to go along with what he does in the pocket, which is really good stuff too.
What's the third indefensible part?
Well, that was
Jared
it. Coleman and Wilson are 1 and 2.
Oh, okay.
And then your quarterback being able to run is 3.
Yeah. I mean, Jaheim too. I think when you talk about the entire,
you're right.
Just the offense, man, because you got to cover these 2 guys out wide. You got to worry about Jaheim. Oh, by the way, too, Trey Benson's can leak out the backfield and catch a swing pass and turn it up the field for 8 yards easily. And then Jordan can run the ball if all else fails. So it's again,
now look, we'll see how it plays out in game 1 because it's game 1 and you're playing a real defense with real NFL talent on it. So I'm not expecting 50. There are going to be some struggles because it's game 1. But this is one of those other years where you'd really like Duquesne to come on back, just to get some kinks out, iron it out, get comfortable. But once this thing hits mid-season and it's healthy, it is going to be a wrecking ball if it's healthy. There's just not going to be. There's no ways to stop it, man. Yeah. I mean, and it's offense. You're going to have a couple of down games. That's just how it works. Like the Joe Burrow LSU team had that game against Auburn where they only scored a couple of touchdowns. But by and large, this is going to be not unstoppable, but very, very, very hard to stop offense.
Take the overs, everybody. Take the overs. Just make sure you go to mybookie.ag and use the promo code WARCHANT when you sign up. That way you get an instant cash deposit bonus, and you can leverage more bets for bigger dollars. mybookie.ag, bet anything, anytime, anywhere. Let's see if all of our talk has moved lines at all when it comes to Florida State's games here. They keep pulling down the LSU game some days and then putting it back up. On a day like this, it is not up. So we'll go to see what's going on with – actually, no, it's there. It's 3 points. 3 points still. Florida State's getting 3 points. The over-under is 56. I mean, we're going to score 30-something. They'll probably score high 20s. I'm going to go ahead and take the over on August 7th as you're listening to this. Take the over, everybody. Don't be scared. I know it's week 1. Defense out of the offense, but just dream the dream with us. Do it at mybookie.ag. Use the promo code WARCHANT. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. mybookie.ag. Michael Langston, talking recruiting, coming up. Some may refer to him as a good luck charm now. Wherever he goes on the weekends, 5 stars just seem to want to come to Tallahassee afterwards. They want to follow Michael Langston. Michael Langston, recruiting analyst for WARCHANT.com, joining us here on Wake Up Warchant. Michael, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm excited to be on Wake Up Warchant. Sorry, guys, if I sound a little tired. It's been a long 2 weekends, but certainly a prosperous one and a fun one. And I guess we have to come up with a new thing of we talked about FSU being on fire. I don't know what's hotter than fire, because that's kind of what they are right now in recruiting.
Nuclear fission.
Yeah.
You got to get you some vitamin energy, get you nice and perky while you're on the road. All right, Michael. So we know why KJ Bolden picked Florida State. What are some of the other determining factors you think that kind of contributed to Florida State being able to pull this thing off? Where when we first heard about it, it was like cool. It'll be awfully nice if they're in contention for this kind of level of prospect. But let's just hold down Charles Lester and we'll be fine with that. And I mean, to sit here and have both of these guys is an incredible feeling. But what do you think were some of the contributing factors to bringing KJ into the fold here over the last month or two?
Well, I think the big shift was one. He always loved Norvell. I mean, that was a clear connection when they visited in the spring. There was a different feeling around Norvell. But I think the biggest shift for me was the hiring of Patrick Surtain. I think that was the one that it checked off all the boxes. He knew there was a dream school. He knew what they were doing development wise. He knew what they were going with the program. What they didn't have is somebody that's just an incredible, next level, developer at his position at defensive back. So I think once he was added, that was the shift that I saw. So I think that played a part, and I think just what they've done overall with the program. And then two, and KJ even mentioned this last night to me, where, them adding guys like Charles Lester, Cam Davis, guys like that, where there's top tier guys that are coming. He knows, he knows he's going to be surrounded by top tier elite talent. So I think that also influenced, the decision that it was FSU, because it's got to be more than just, hey, that's my dream school. There was a lot of factors that I think FSU just checked off everything. Even with my breakdown with on Bolden, I talked about how he was looking for a reason to pick FSU, and I think they gave him a multitude of reasons, and I think those are some of the main factors.
Success begets success. It's kind of fun, but then it's not fun if you're not on the winning side. But Florida State now on the winning side, so they're going to keep racking up these guys, hopefully. How was the actual ceremony? I mean, you talked about, the other guys that brought him in. Cam Davis was actually there. I don't know, was Luke Kromenhoek in the house? I mean, Luke Kromenhoek was down with Charles Lester the other weekend. So, I mean, this sort of synergy they're building was kind of crazy. But how was the actual ceremony itself, the energy? Walk us through it.
It was wild, man. I mean, I wish I could write a book off this ceremony last night. CJ Hurd was there. Cam Davis was there. Luke told me he wasn't going to be there. I guess he wanted to let Cam get one. So Cam was there, decked out in his garnet and gold. CJ Hurd was also there. CJ even told me afterwards, man, he's like, man, I stayed off Instagram because CJ was like totally convinced, like he was coming, but he didn't want to leak anything out. He's afraid he'd say something that might indicate it, so he didn't want to do anything. But those guys were there, but there was a lot of red and black as you would expect in the crowd. Even his teacher got up there and she's like, "I wish you the best of luck, with the decision, whatever school you choose, but go Dogs." It was kind of like, so you had a lot of pro Georgia, but then there was a lot of garnet and gold out there in the crowd, a lot more than I expected. You could feel the intensity. It was really tense because everyone's just waiting. Because I think even I heard Dylan Rayoyo got there, and I think he didn't even know. Like he was hoping that it would be Georgia, but I don't think he knew. I've overheard him talking to somebody. He's like, yeah, I don't really know, but I think there was a lot of tense anticipation for this, and I can tell you this, like we all sat at the media table, whether it's FSU beat writers or Georgia beat writers, and the Georgia media people were stunned. like you could see it on their face, like shocked, like wow. Like I even overheard one media outlet. I don't know where it was at, but he said, "Yeah, I'm probably not going to go on the Georgia boards today." So, you could tell the impact and the tenseness of this announcement, and in going into that thing, I was confident. I felt good. I've stated even on our big thing we did on with all of us together that, hey, I felt like if it's today that was the choice going to be FSU, but still there was some nervousness of you didn't know for sure. It wasn't 100% thing like how I felt with Lester going in that event. So that added to the drama, and then to the historic moment of what this means for FSU to add a guy like a KJ Bolden, not because his dream school was FSU, but FSU had to come back from a long distance to pull this off and go into the Peach State where Georgia never loses kids. So I think it was a massive moment. It was a historic moment, and the intensity was crazy. Like I said, I could make a movie on how incredibly tense it was in there because you feel it like, man, there's a lot of Georgia people in there. Maybe we'll pick Georgia, but still, even going into that decision, and then probably I would say Aslan like 10 minutes before he decided, I got a pretty positive text for FSU from my Buford contact, and basically the indication he mentioned to me was there's going to be some upset Georgia fans about 3 minutes. So that's kind of the layout of kind of the night at over there in Flowery Branch, Georgia.
The third 5-star commitment for Florida State in this cycle. That's more than Alabama, more than Tennessee, Clemson, Michigan, Penn State, LSU, Southern Cal, Notre Dame, A&M, Auburn, Oklahoma, Miami, Texas. They are now fourth in the country in ranking in 2024 with high school recruits. Bolden's listed at 6'1", 185. Safeties, I guess what, some folks have kind of defaulted to, but if you look at his film, he does a little bit of everything. He's the number 8 overall prospect in the entire country for this cycle. Michael, what do you think is in the future for KJ when he does arrive at Tallahassee?
I think he's kind of a Jalen Ramsey type of player where you can play him at safety and corner and you feel good because he's so natural. His hips are natural. His ball skills are incredible. I mean, they're so elite. That's why he's a 5-star plus. They don't give those things out like hotcakes. I mean, those things are like the elite of the elite. So I think safety will be where you see him the most, but I think he's got capability of kind of what, not saying he's Jalen Ramsey, saying his versatility is like Jalen, where he can play corner or safety. I probably think he more so lean forward towards safety because that's a position of need that I think they'll probably need him there more than any place. But I certainly see him at safety. I do feel he's going to play special teams because he's one thing we haven't talked about is like he is really fast, like got some really big wheels. He runs track as well with Buford. So certainly got a lot of speed, and so I think you'll see him on offense, and maybe even Ron Dugans will try to shift into the meeting rooms and try to say, hey, let's get a few plays on offense too. This guy's a weapon everywhere. So, but I think most of the time, I don't think this is kind of as uncertain with like Charles Lester, where I said he could play receiver, where I think it's definitely he's going to play on the defensive side of the ball. It's just what position is really just up in the air. And even KJ said in the interview, like nickel, corner, safety, free, whatever. That's kind of the positions they've talked about. And I think it's interesting that Surtain's handled most of the recruitment. So I think there's a clear indication that they know they can use him at multiple spots.
This 24 class is loaded, but there's also another talented prospect on that Buford team that plays with KJ Bolden out of 2025 class, linebacker Jaden Perlot. All right. I'm going to say Perlot, though, just I want to be fresh and fancy.
Somebody's going to be right. Somebody's going to be right.
That's how we're doing. We're just going to hedge our bets on this. So Florida State making some moves. I mean, I know he was at one of the camps a month or so ago. We caught up with him. I guess this just kind of goes back to KJ seeing guys like Charles and Luke and Cam committing, and then maybe now Jaden sees KJ and Luke and Cam and Charles committing, and maybe that builds the momentum for even 2025. What do you know about Jaden, Michael?
Yeah, I'll give you guys a secret. I've already logged in a pick for FSU. For those that read my backstory last night, I'm not going to tell you everything, but I'll just say I gave indications that this was likely going to happen. And then Sunday, I think other media outlets started figuring out that, hey, this is looking like they're close. Jaden and KJ are close. So this is always going to be an impact wherever KJ, not that he's following them, but just it was going to be impactful. And I like FSU's chances. I feel strongly that FSU will land Jaden. They will flip him where it's a flip or he decommits or whatnot. I do feel pretty strongly about that FSU will add him to this class, but that ain't the only one, Aslan. There's another one at Buford. 4-star DB Devin Williams is a guy to keep your eye on. That's another one that's on a watch for me. Alabama was the early leader in RPM, but watch out for FSU. I've heard that FSU now is the favorite in that one. So that's another one. He's a 4-star in the 2025 class as well. Yeah. They're on fire, guys. Yeah, there's a lot of excitement, and I told people, warned people about this, that this was the dream scenario for FSU. Lester Bolden going into that first game against LSU, and now you're going to see the dramatic effects of it, because not only do you have the Lester momentum, you have a nationally one with KJ that everyone knows, and it's going to affect a lot of guys. This isn't we're mentioning these two, Aslan, but there's a lot more that it's going to affect. It's going to affect guys that are uncommitted that you'll probably see on FSU's campus for official visits. So this kind of addition with KJ Bolden is going to affect everything.
Hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Maybe also head over to the Battle's End and help out the war chest, everybody, because Florida State's fishing in the deep waters now. Again, the big game fish. So this is fun and exciting. Go to the PRB, right? PRB. Somebody was saying that I said it wrong. PRB. Premium Recruiting.
No, it's PRB. You got it right.
Yeah. Michael's got backstories of what went down. Fun stories as well. Jamari Howard updates from Matt Lasser. Everything you could possibly want over on the PRB. Again, you folks dialed in with everything that's going on with recruiting. Michael, what happens now? I mean, I know there's a football game here in less than 30 days, but what happens for you? Does recruiting continue to stay hot? Is there going to be more commitments here in the near future, or do we just kind of enjoy the fact that 3 weeks ago we had to put some panic out on a live show, and now it's like nuclear panic?
Yeah. I think for 2024, outside of anybody reclassifying to 2024 or from 2025, I think we're done until in season for 2024. But there could be some action with 2025. I could see some movement there. I've already covered a few guys, and there could be more. So that's something to keep an eye on, as far as going forward. But outside of that, yeah, I'm going to work on my Friday Night Rewind. For people who don't know, that's how I track all the stats for the season for a lot of these guys. So I'm working on the format for that this week. And then later next week, I'm going to work on a I got to come up with a name. It's going to be basically 7 targets for 2024. Now there's not going to be 7 left because there's really only 4 or 5 spots, but it's kind of, I want to give you guys kind of a what's left type of thing. And I'll kind of go where they stand with each one of these guys. And that's kind of what I'm working on. Outside of that, man, it's like, it's the team guys show now, because there's not a lot I can do outside of, some kids visiting and stuff like that. But right now, I think 2024 is kind of done until season. And then there could be more fireworks for 2025.
Oh, last thing, 10 seconds. I'll get you out on this one. Jeremiah Smith. How do we feel about him?
Very real chance. I never would have given that one a smidge of a chance at all. They're very real. They're very much in it. And I was told, like, both by FSU intel and even recruits that, commits, that this is their next big target. Like, this is the guy they want. They got him on multiple day visits a couple of times in the summer. I know he's going to take an official visit to FSU. I think that's going to be in season, maybe around the Miami game. So I definitely think that's their next big target. I think they're very much in there. I'm kind of starting to lean off the thing where Brian Hartline has to leave, because it just feels like there's a slight shift going on with FSU, and the interest is definitely genuine. Before, when he took his first visit, I didn't think it was serious, but now I think it's a little more serious. Now you have some 5-stars, more 5-stars in there. And so I think that's the next big target. I think there's still work to do, but I think that's the next big target they're going after.
There we go. You'll know about it over on the PRB, up to the minute updates all the time with Michael and Matt keeping you locked. Michael, thanks for doing this, man. Have a restful day ahead, hopefully.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks.
All right, Corey, you did your part. Just living in, Greater Gwinnett, sending out the good vibes. KJ Buford now part of Florida State's 2024 recruiting class. That's the third 5-star in this class, alongside Charles Lester, Landon Thomas, tight end from Colquitt. Yep. Those two, Bolden, Thomas, 2 guys that Kirby wanted. Kirby thought he had. I don't know, man. Is Florida State back? I mean, they're recruiting elite talent. And I know people can say, well, I'm not going to get excited until the NLI comes in, but these feel pretty lock, stock, and ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, obviously December is when it matters most, but yes, this is what Florida State recruiting at full capacity looks like. This is, and again, it's not just that it's not like KJ Bolden is from Jacksonville or Live Oak. He's 30 minutes from Athens, and they wanted him desperately. Landon Thomas is a Georgia kid. This is what it was like back in the day. Now, again, they have to go do it on the field. First off, they do have to get the signatures in December, but you have to keep them here for 4 years or 3. But you win on the field, which apparently they're in the midst of doing and having a turnaround there, where you're hoping for at least another 10-win season in 2023. And then what they're doing on the trail is what Florida State has always done on the trail when it's good. It is a recruiting juggernaut. It always has been, as long as it's got competency and some sort of proof on the field. And so literally, it's been like that for my whole life, at least 35 of the years. And so it's really cool, because we talked about what we had to see from Norvell. We know he kills it in the portal, and he always said that he wanted to build through high school recruiting. And we're like, yeah, all right, we'll see. He keeps saying that because he has to say that. Well, no, man, he's putting together one of the top classes in the country. And they're not done. So, they're still in on some other huge targets.
Yep.
And we get what's funny to me is and I went to Georgia. I'm a Georgia grad. I root for them when they're not playing Florida State. I'm not a crazy fanatic like you guys are with Florida State, but I root for them. And so many Georgia fans are acting like Florida State is Rice or Utah State. Man, it's Florida State. While Georgia was piddling around for 3.5 decades doing nothing, Florida State was winning championships and being relevant. And Georgia was always wasting talent. And finally, they've hit the mother lode with Kirby, and they're the best program in the country. But it's been 42 years, gang. Don't act like you invented the sport. Florida State was was one of the teams that got you all this money because Florida State made college football relevant in the 90s and the 2000s when the boom happened. Not Georgia. Nobody was tuning in to watch Georgia in 1999, I can promise you. So anyway, the point being, he's going up and recruiting against the big boys now and winning. And we know that it's not all about just relationships anymore or depth charts. We get it, gang. But Florida State's playing by the same rules that everybody else is. And I would imagine if Rice had a benefactor, I don't know why I keep picking on Rice, but seriously. I do. They're kind of my go-to.
Pick on Oregon State or Washington State.
There you
Pick
go. We'll kick
team.
them when they're down. One of the Pac-4.
Love you guys. Sorry. I'm so sorry. What's going on?
If Oregon State had some benefactor that was offering these kids a ton of money to come play football for them, I don't think they would. I don't think they would spurn Georgia. Florida State has to be attractive enough that the money certainly helps, whatever it is. And this is all, I'm not going to say alleged because that makes it sound like a crime. I don't know anything about the details, but I know that the Battles In Collective is doing a terrific job of retaining and building a roster. Let's just put it that way.
Yes.
And it is the way of the world in 2023. So money is a factor, but there are many schools that you could offer a kid not almost, but a sort of similar figure. And they'd be like, no, man, I'm not going there. I want to go win games. I want to go play for a team that I want to play for. I want to go play for a team with a fan base and history and tradition. So Florida State has all that already in place, which makes what the Battles End and other collectives are doing. It's not the cherry on top. It's probably the sundae, and then the cherry on top is all the great seasons and team that Florida State had over the years, right?
Yes.
Like Florida State is attractive, and then already because of what it is as a program, and then obviously the money helps too. That was a long-winded way of saying, but Norvell, in this current climate, Norvell is certainly proving he can do it, man. I have to imagine Florida State fans are over the moon with not just what this product looks like this year, not with just the prospect of you're finally getting out of this conference, but you've also got a coach that I just think most of these fans now believe in wholeheartedly. And dare I say it's a holistic approach, Aslan, when it comes to resources, maybe finances, coaching, development, winning, fun style of play, team camaraderie, culture. It's all in there together. And that's how you go get a KJ Bolden, man. I tweeted about it, and it's the truth. Doesn't Travis Hunter feel like a lifetime ago now?
Yeah.
Holy moly. When you think about from the same
Still
neck of the woods, folks.
Still miss him, though. So wish we had him.
Sure.
So wish we had him.
Also a Gwinnett County kid, played football in Gwinnett County, stand up, DB, number one at his position in the country, and he had the most public flip in the history of college football.
The biggest gut punch, yeah.
But also just the most public flip. Nobody ever really common sports fans don't care about college football players flipping on signing day.
Right.
But when you flip and go from Florida State, your lifetime team, to Jackson State, it is literally the most publicized flip in the history of probably college athletics. That happened a year and a half ago. Since then, look where you are now. You've now got the number 4 class in the country. You signed a similar type prospect, got a commitment from a similar type prospect from the same area that's right in Georgia's backyard. Less than 2 years later, to go along with this team you've put together for the 2023 season. It's that was a dark day, man. We had just come out of COVID, right? We 3-6. And then Travis Hunter bounces on National Signing Day for Jackson State. And here you are a year and a half later, top 10 program, top 5 recruiting class.
What a time to be alive, everybody. Check out warchant.com. It's $1 for a month or 25% off for an entire year. Highly recommend it right now because of obviously what's going on at preseason camp. We'll also have a Monday Smash later on tonight. But because of realignment. Realignment's real. It's happening. It happened this past weekend, or past week, I guess. Arizona State, Utah head to the Big 12, while Oregon and Washington head to the Big 10, Corey. We've went from being maybe in the hole to on deck. I mean, we have to be in the batter's box right now, right? Or would be in the batter's box actually being in a new conference at this point? Just what is left? I mean, that's 20 or that's 18. That's 18 for the Big Ten now, right?
Well, so the question becomes that August 15th deadline.
Yeah.
If that's really going to be something that's actually in play. I didn't think that was even possible a week ago, but now they could just say, yeah, we're
out.
We're out. I would have thought that at least be a year from now. But also, I would like at some point, and I'm going to keep harping on this. Stand up, Clemson.
Yeah, come on, guys. Miami too, if you want.
Yeah, I mean, this ain't a one-man act. Like Florida, it's better for both of your programs to get out of the ACC, because if Florida State bounces, good luck. Good luck. Nobody, like Clemson's the only game that people in the country care about that Clemson plays, well, sometimes they play one of those neutral site games to start a year. They play Florida State, and then I guess the ACC championship if a playoff spot is online. That's the only time the rest of the country really cares about Clemson, because they just dismantle everyone in the conference. And they'll tune in if they're losing to NC State in the fourth quarter. Right? You know what I mean? But Clemson doesn't play a lot of marquee events. Miami plays none except for Florida State. So good luck.
I got A&M. They did a home and home with A&M.
Sure, yeah, I forgot. Those two great games. Or they play A&M this year, right?
Yeah.
That game last year was really fun.
Yeah.
So good luck trying to get anybody to – you've got to get out. And I guess I don't quite – it's not that I don't understand. It's only been 5 days. Other schools are maybe being a little more measured in their approach to this, but they need to come out and start get some dominoes falling too. Those two in particular. Well, Clemson in particular, because I was talking to somebody the other night and he's like, well, maybe Clemson wants to be the big fish in the small pond. I'm like, well, that's really short-sighted.
There's going to be no water in the pond. There's going to be no money to have.
South Carolina, well, yes, they can compete and beat South Carolina, making $30 million a year less in revenue. Well, it's not you can drive a car with your feet. It doesn't mean it's a good idea. It's a Chris Rock line, everyone. It doesn't mean it's a good idea. You can try to do it, but why? You need. I just think they need to figure out what their next step is, and I think that's when it really becomes apparent to all of the ACC. When Clemson has not come out and said we're staying either. Like they've been noticeably quiet, which makes you think that they are making moves too to try to get in lockstep with Florida State. But I think that's the next domino, so to speak, to fall, is Clemson coming out publicly and saying whenever their board of trustees meeting is, or whenever the AD is interviewed again, and don't pay attention to whatever Dabo says about it whenever he gets asked about it. Just don't. Neff, who we now know
Graham
is AD
Neff.
at Clemson.
Graham Neff.
That's the guy. When he talks, and if and when the president talks, and when the board of trustees, I think they have a board of trustees in Clemson, or regents, whatever, when they talk, that's what you need to pay attention to, because I think that's when you'll see them kind of amp up the bluster that like Florida State had last week.
Yeah, so call it bluster, whatever you will, but Florida State taking that public stance. North Carolina takes the contrarian stance.
It's their conference, man,
yeah,
right?
But so everybody else being silent, like, do we think that is that leaning in the direction of like the status quo and agreeing with North Carolina, or is being quiet at this point maybe, you're not, by not supporting Florida State doesn't necessarily mean you're supporting the ACC, but the fact that you're not supporting Bubba Cunningham's comments, I think might speak greater volumes being silent than it would reflect poorly on agreeing with Florida State's stance, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get you. Like nobody came out and put their arms around Bubba and said, "Yeah, I'm with him." Yeah, no, I got you. Yeah. It's just been a lot of quiet for a week now since Florida State, really since Tuesday when we had Collins on the which again that was incredible that we got that.
Shout out to Sportico for citing the Warchant TV appearance of Peter Collins on warchant.com.
Oh yeah. About the private equity firm, right? Yeah. We haven't even talked about that. We're not smart enough to talk about private equity firms. Yeah. But so that was on Tuesday. We're now while you're listening to this is Monday. It's been 6 days since that interview, 5 days since the Board of Trustees meeting. So I would think a week is enough time for one of these other schools to come out and one way or the other. And yeah, they haven't so far, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm surprised even Wake Forest or Boston College, who absolutely need this conference to stay together, and they're totally fine with getting 23rd. I'm surprised they haven't come out and said hey, this is what's everyone complaining about? This is fine.
We love our money, man. This is how we love $30 million a year. This is perfect. Yeah. What's funny about that is I was, when all that Twitter stuff was blowing up and all the North Carolina media is making fun of Florida State's record the last 5 years. And because I remember watching SportsCenter on Wednesday night, and it led SportsCenter. And it was not a short segment. It was a 3 or 4 minute segment about Florida State saying it wants to leave the ACC. That led SportsCenter. And then I thought to myself, what if Wake Forest had come out and said they wanted to leave the ACC? Would it have made the bottom line scroll?
Yeah.
That's the difference we're talking about, folks. That's just the difference. It might have made the bottom line. Wake Forest board says they want out of the ACC. It would not have led SportsCenter, and it would have not have been a segment on SportsCenter. And you can say that about NC State, Virginia Tech, Boston College, Pitt, Georgia Tech, Syracuse, maybe Virginia and North Carolina. Maybe Carolina, if they had said that, would have been a big story. Obviously, Miami and Clemson probably too. But that's about it. So that tells you how important Florida State is and how unimportant many of the other schools are from a national perspective is all.
Well said.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, let's go meet up at the Al Dunlap practice facility, shall we, Corey?
Can't wait, buddy.
So we're back at practice in the mornings, everybody. So as you settle in and take your vitamin energy shot at your desk and get ready to conquer the day, head over to warchant.com and check out the observations, the updates, the interviews. It'll all be there waiting for you. Subscribe. It's only $1 again for a whole month, or 25% off for an entire year, which will take you through, us leaving this conference, hopefully, national title, championship parade, Link Jarrett getting us back to Omaha, Ham getting us back into the ACC tournament. So just,
They were in the tournament this year. They lost in the final second.
Ham back to the big dance. Link gets us back into the ACC tournament.
There you go.
Love you, Ham. Love you, Ham. Love you too, Link. All right, he's Corey Maslow. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.